Hi everyone, this is Darcy with Preserving My Sanity. It is time for another episode of What's in Your Fridge today. I have been kind of running all around today, so I'm actually in my car right now. I'm not driving. I'm just parked in my car at the park, actually. Um, it's just been kind of a wild Monday. I don't know how your day's going, but it's good. Busy is good. So basically, I am doing these episodes once every 2 weeks right now, as we're all kind of going through this period of trying to minimize trips to the grocery store and finding the supplies that we need and staying healthy and all of that. This is actually an idea I had before all of this even started, so it's really kind of tied in well to our current situation. So the idea of the episode is that people can come on and share with me, ingredients that you have in your refrigerator that you want to use, maybe, random things that you don't know how to put together, or whatever. And then I would help you come up with ideas for how to use those things. So in the meantime, while I wait for anybody to come on and share ingredients with me, I usually just talk about a few things that we've been doing in our kitchen. So I will do that now. Basically, since the last episode, I haven't been to the grocery store. I go every 2 weeks, and I lied. I did go to the grocery store, I think like the day after the last episode, but I haven't been since that time. So I've really just been trying to, when I go to the store, I've been trying to stock up on basic things like fresh produce, milk, bread, eggs, butter, things like that. And then we actually have quite a bit of stuff in the freezer and in the pantry, and so we're just kind of trying to put meals together with what we have on hand. So last week I had some cabbage left over in the fridge that needed to be used. And so I decided to make fried cabbage with some bratwurst that we had in the freezer with some egg noodles. So I think it's actually a Polish meal, and I shared about it on my page, but it was fried cabbage and noodles with brats. So that was a really easy, basically 3 basic things. The cabbage was from the fridge, the noodles were from the pantry, and the brats were from the freezer. And we put dinner together with those ingredients. I really liked it. My husband wasn't as much of a fan, but that's what happens sometimes. So that was one thing that we did. Another thing we did is sometimes I keep different meals in the freezer, as far as like if we have meatloaf or lasagna or something, and there's some left over. If anybody comes on, say hi to me so I know I'm in the right place. I'm in my car, so I can't actually check and make sure where I'm at. Anyway, when we have things left over like lasagna or meatloaf or something, I always put some of it in the freezer, and then we can pull it out if we need an easy meal. So I had some Southwest Meatloaf in the freezer. Last week I pulled it out and I got a can of refried beans out of the freezer, or out of the pantry, and we made a pizza. So I actually have a whole blog post on my blog about all the different flavors of pizza we like to make. We make a really easy pizza dough recipe with flour and yogurt and baking powder and salt. And so we make pizza pretty often. So I actually took that meatloaf out of the freezer and a can of refried beans out of the pantry, and I made a taco pizza. So that was a really easy dinner that we had one night. Pizza is really nice because you can just put all kinds of different combinations together and, have an easy dinner if you don't know what to make. The pizza, don't let the dough scare you. It's actually really, really easy recipe to make. My husband doesn't even use a rolling pin when he makes it. He just flattens it out with his hands right into the pan. So you don't even have to roll it out really if you don't want to. So check out that blog post. I can put it up in the comments too. But so pizza is a really easy thing to make. All kinds of different varieties are really good. Otherwise, we've really just been trying to work on, using things that we have in the freezer, in the pantry. It's usually something we kind of do at this time of year anyways, because we're trying to prepare for a new garden season, where we grow a lot of things in the garden and we preserve a lot of things and freeze a lot of things from the garden. So now is kind of the time of year where we're trying to use anything that we have left over from last year anyways. So like for example, I guess another example is I freeze cubed butternut squash from the garden. And so we took a bag of it out last week that we have left, and Marshall made some butternut squash pancakes for breakfast with some walnuts chopped up in them, and then we had, you know, maple syrup on them. They were really good. I think he might have put a little cinnamon in there with them too. And then with the rest of the squash, I ended up making a butternut squash and kale sausage pasta. It was a Skinny Taste recipe. I think I shared that on the page too. But so with that one bag of squash, we were able to make pancakes and then a pasta dinner, and there's actually still some left in the refrigerator of that bag. And I like to make butternut squash cakes. So like I'll take that butternut squash that's left and I'll mash it all up and mix it with like egg and some breadcrumbs, and I usually put like some sage in it and some salt and some brown sugar, and mix that all up, and then just make it like you would like a potato cake or whatever on a griddle. And they're really good on the side of, you know, whatever you're having for dinner. So that's another way that we'll use that up. Another thing I'm planning to do here shortly is I have kind of a pile of things that I've set aside out of the pantry that should be used, that are kind of like nearing expiration or whatever. And it just so happens that in that pile I have a white cake mix, and I have some Heath chips, and then we also have some canned cinnamon apples in the pantry. So I was just looking on Google last night, and there's a recipe for basically like it's a caramel. Oh, we have a part jar of caramel in the fridge too. So this recipe is like a caramel apple cake with toffee bits basically. And so it calls for all of those things. It calls for white cake mix and Heath chips and apples and caramel. So I think I'm going to make that this week because it sounds really good. I can put the link to that in the comments too. So just kind of think about, I guess, what you have on hand, and if you're not sure how to put it together, you can always ask here in the replay in the comments, and I'd be happy to help you. But Google's always a good resource too. So, you know, last night I just typed in that I had a white cake mix, and what can I make with a white cake mix and apples? And you know, then I found this this recipe for this caramel apple cake. So even if you just type in white cake mix, what can I make with a white cake mix? And you'll see all kinds of results from different bloggers and cookbook websites and stuff. So don't be afraid to Google it and get creative, and you know, try to minimize those trips out to the store. If nobody has any ingredients they'd like to share today, then I guess I can wrap it up here. And move on, let everybody move on with your day. But thanks so much for tuning in. And like I said, feel free to share anything you'd like in the comments. I'd be happy to, you know, try to help you out, help you get creative however I can. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.